All right. It's Ramon, Knotfest.com. We're back in downtown Los Angeles. We're at 1720. Born of Osiris, Veil of Maya, and we're with the homies from Chicago, Victims. Good to have you guys. Thank you for taking some time.
Thank you for having us, as always. This is
Everyone
like
looks
our
like
third time on
enthusiastic.
Knotfest. Let's go.
So I mentioned it, the Chicago connection here, you guys, Veil of Maya. Me personally, I don't have a ton of experience with Chicago, but I've heard that the heavy music scene there is either you love it or you hate it. So fill me in on what the region's like for you guys. Do you guys have a supportive community there? How big is it? How small is it? How passionate is it?
So, honestly, I feel like the Chicago music scene's changed a lot, at least since I've been introduced to it. Back in the day, we used to have Oceano, they were doing local shows, Veil of Maya, Born of Osiris, and then you had Villains, Barrier, Sworn In. You had bands like that caliber, and then you had Jerome would be playing shows, and you had Weekend Nachos. A bunch of different bands have come from the hardcore and the metalcore scene. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Harm's Way's played shows a
sure.
bunch of times, Malintent. There's a lot of good bands, but honestly over the years I feel like it's changed so much that it's not as big as it used to be, but there's still bands that pop off in Chicago that aren't from there.
For sure.
So it's still a great community. I just feel like there's not as many bands as there used to be, but it's still I love playing there and everything.
Some of the bands that you were discussing, I mean, they tend to lean on more of the hardcore spectrum, and I know Chicago's got healthy hardcore roots. That's pretty obvious, But with a band like you guys, you don't particularly fit into any sort of category, and I know some people might see that as a negative. That's a fucking fantastic thing to not fit.
Thank you, man.
And
Thank you.
I'll give you a prime example. You guys are going to spend the next 2 months on the road, which we'll get into that in a quick second.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about who you guys are touring with. So you guys are out right now with Born of Osiris and Veil of Maya, and then you guys are going to immediately roll into Cane Hill.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of bands that can pull that off. You guys got to wear that kind of range on your sleeve. That's a badge of honor. I mean, at least I would think.
Thank you. When it comes to just writing and everything, we don't want to stick ourselves in a box, and that's kind of what we're always going for, experimenting with different just sounds and not trying to just stay in one community or sound. And I feel we've played a few hardcore shows where surprisingly, even though we have backtracks and everything, we've been pretty accepted, and it's not just been fuck this band, you know?
Right.
It's cool. It's just every time we write a new record and everything, we just want to make sure it's cohesive in a way, but also just out of the park. Why is this band doing this? But it kind of fits,
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, at least from an outsider's perspective, from the listener's vantage point, it feels like you guys write with a level of authenticity. And I think that's kind of really the X factor for you guys. That's why you guys can roll into a tour with a new metal band, a modern new metal band like Cane Hill, and then play to a gnarly tech crowd, or you guys can play to a hardcore crowd. You don't fit, and you're not supposed to fit. It's a great thing. So it's just something that we've talked about. We're fans of the band. Obviously, you guys have been on, Pulse of the Maggots and things of that sort. So let's get into the grind that you guys have too, because you guys are an independent.
The grind, no.
You guys are an independent band. So all of this shit, everything is done by you guys. Merch, media, tours, all of it.
So it's not all done by us. I pick out everybody that we hire pretty much.
Okay.
So when the inception of this band happened, a lot of it was I used to do it a lot. So the start of our music videos, we'd have someone film it and I edited it all, and I do our promos, I do this, that, and the other. But then as soon as we started to get bigger, I was well, I want to hire out friends that I think are pretty talented, or bring on almost start our own kind of
keep
team.
the community for sure. Yeah.
And it's just really nice to have people on board that I've the band has created relationships with, especially for merch designs. Someone that
you guys' merch game is strong, by the way.
Thank you.
You guys don't have this standard shitty band logo merch. You guys' merch, you guys do drops. It's its own brand. It's pretty rad.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Ben Hoagland, he's a vocalist from The Extortionist. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but he did design work for us. Like he started, I want to say in like 2011, and that's like I've known him since then. So it's just like I go to the same people for everything, just because I like to keep that like loyalty,
For sure.
and I like to just keep that like cohesiveness within the band. And
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and he's an independent contractor as well, and he was just grinding for a while. And like Dakota Breinlinger, Point Blank Graphics, great guy as well, and he does stuff for like I Set My Friends on Fire, Body Snatcher. I know they've done stuff like a couple things for like Knock Loose and things like that. So
cool.
It's just nice to see even them get more opportunity. And I've been working with these people for like almost like a decade at this point.
It's paying dividends for you guys, for sure. Like 2021 was kind of supposed to be like a rebuilding year for a lot of people, getting reacclimated to like live shows again, maybe getting back into the studio. You guys hit the fucking ground running. You guys dropped arguably your best record to date. What was the lockdown like for you guys? Did you guys stay active during that entire time? I mean, because a lot of people either did one of two things. Either they put shit away and they kind of wallowed in their sorrows, or they really kind of doubled down and they were like, fuck it. Whenever this thing comes back, we're going to hit the ground running. And it seems like that's what you guys did. Like 2021 was a hell of a year for you guys.
Exactly. You know, that's what, you know, our plan, you know, going into the whole pandemic was to, just keep what we had going and, you know, to keep going with it. And that included, many merch drops, just keep writing as well. We went to our good friend Cody Stewart and we started writing more music. And then, further growing our team with, people that we work with as well. We just tried to stay active and, stay relevant, I guess, with everything. And as you said, with either putting it away or keep going. Yeah. And I feel like that's what like really separated a lot of people in the pandemic was if people were able to keep running with it or if they found something else to, take up their time with.
For sure.
Robbing the mic. I would say also just like in general, what I think, because we are an independent band, we don't have people to back us, and we didn't have that like team oriented right away. So if we fall, there's no one to catch us.
Right.
So we have to just keep going forward. And I think the nice thing about this band is that we all had that mentality of, we don't want to give up. We only want to push harder for when things come back, because there was optimism that things were going to come back, that we're right there.
Sure.
The more you release, the more things you plan. No one has the attention span to like wait on things anymore. So if you're always at the forefront of people's minds, it's just you can't go down from there. You just keep going up as long as you keep putting out quality and you just keep like building on that like momentum,
I'm so glad that somebody else said attention span. Somebody else brought that up, because I mean, if you think about it, we've all discussed this already, but the antiquated album cycle, 18 months, nobody fucking thinks like that anymore. And the way that you guys keep up on your media, the way that you guys constantly maintain a conversation with your fan base, you guys are doing a really good job of making sure that you guys stay tip of the tongue, which I think is super important. And it's one of those intangibles that as an independent band, you guys have figured out without somebody having to groom you to figure out, which is huge. And it's kind of why you guys are getting picked up for multiple different kinds of tours like this. Sorry, I feel like I'm
No.
We switch places, but I'm super stoked for you guys, because there's a lot of bands that do have management that don't have that wherewithal. They're not thinking like that, and then if they are, they don't have the hustle to match it. So I'm glad to see you guys are getting on these festivals, that you guys are getting on these tours. Your fan base is growing. We're seeing it on the editorial side too, just because we're hearing the name more often, which is a really fucking good thing.
And I really do appreciate the team at Knotfest. Like, Chris, I think emailed me.
Chris is you guys' champion for
Pulse
sure.
Pulse of the Maggots it was like back in November, and we did that set for you guys, and then ever since then, you guys have been nothing but supportive. So that's very appreciative. Like, you don't see that come often, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier about loyalty. It's just like if you see something you like, you don't always have to have that like, oh, well, who's behind them?
Right.
You know, that's what I like about Knotfest. It's not always like who's behind them. It's like what you guys like, you know?
Good tunes.
And yeah.
For
so
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So having said that, you guys are getting ready to live on the road for 2 months. Let's talk about the not glamorous side of living on the road, because if ever you've done it, we know what that van smells like after a week. We know what people's hygiene habits can start to fuck with you after a little bit. Like, you guys are going to be on the road until the end of June, and then I'm assuming, based on how you guys hustle, there'll probably be more after that. So mentally, how are you guys gearing up for that once the adrenaline of these first few shows kind of fizzles?
Well, only being a few shows in, I'm really looking forward for everything to mellow out, for me especially. We started off this tour with a 31-hour drive from Chicago to Portland, and from the Midwest, we don't really have a lot of like big hills or mountains. So hauling a trailer, like a bigger trailer than we usually rent, through pretty steep downgrades, and like we hit literally 4 seasons in one day. We went from...
There's not enough coffee or Red Bull in the world.
Oh,
dude.
my God. Well, and I tried that, it made it worse.
Oh.
The more I had, the shakier I got. But so the whole thing was cold leaving Chicago to like 75, 80 degrees in Nebraska. And then as soon as we hit Wyoming, it was like 60-degree crosswinds, snowstorms. And I immediately was just like, guys.
And you guys are moving to the Southwest, I think, right now, right? You guys are like down into Arizona. Yeah. Get ready to sweat your ass off.
Oh, my God.
It's going to happen.
Oh, yes.
So it's good to see that you guys are lively, though, about it. Like, that's the kind of energy that, like, we're going to look back on in 10 years and watch this video and see that you guys are on these massive stages and go, look, like, they had a love for it from the very get-go. Like, super stoked for you guys. Let's get into the record, though, all right? Let's talk about this for a minute. Like, I want everyone's input here, too, but as you guys are hitting the road, as you guys are experimenting with new sounds, and you're seeing the reaction from the crowds for certain parts of songs, does that affect you guys in terms of like how you guys continue to songwrite or evolve as songwriters? Because you get to kind of work out flesh out what works and what doesn't. Does that make you better?
I think it does. Honestly, there's like a few songs, like one of which was like Hell Is Other People from the last record. And although it doesn't have the most plays, there's like a part in it where it definitely has a good line for the crowd to like say something. And I noticed that the crowd knows the lyrics to this part. So it's like, I think for even like the next record, which who knows if we've already started writing it.
I think we can guess. Let's take a guess.
Made sure that there's like more parts where it's like solo lines where the crowd can get involved. I think that's very important, not just to write an album for like a studio, but think of like live setting. And I think with Volume 4, since it was written partially during the pandemic, there was no live setting to be involved.
Right.
So it wasn't really geared towards that. We didn't even know when the album came out that we were going to ever tour on it. We didn't know if we might have just skipped that and
hearing
run another
bands
record.
even say that is like, it's surreal, but it's the truth. Like imagine a world without it. Like, it seems like hyperbole, but it's the truth. There was a lot of people who were like, fuck, I don't think this may ever happen again.
Well,
scary.
Even so, we ended up doing a headliner tour last year in November, and we kind of picked the best time to do it because right after that, COVID peaked again, and a lot of shows shut down. A lot of crew like got out of work again for like at least a month or two, and I was like, oh, are we hitting that next wave that we're not going to be playing shows again for another 6 to 8 months? And thankfully, it worked itself out. I would say it's still going on right now, but it's gotten a lot better. And it was very worrisome. But I think at the end of the day, at least for me, and I think the rest of the guys can probably add that we still love writing music regardless. So we weren't going to just end if live music ended.
Right.
Like a lot of other bands are kind of just here for maybe the job.
Right.
And we're just here because we do love making music and writing like art and expressing ourselves in that way that not everyone gets to do.
So who handles the tunes on these long 31-hour drives?
All of us, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the
Whoever
answer I was hoping for.
Usually it's whoever's driving generally has the playlist going.
So we're going to go round robin here because my man hasn't even been able to jump in on this. So pass this mic around. I see you have a Deftones shirt on.
It's a Deftones rip, actually.
But it makes it even better. I saw that same one. I love the bootleg culture is the best. I love it. So give me one artist that's guaranteed going to piss off everyone in the van on the tour that you're going to play.
I don't know about. Yeah, John.
Because my go-to was Billy Joel, and everyone hated me for it.
Yeah,
hated me for it. I got a hot dog thrown at me one time.
So,
like,
John plays like death metal at like
yeah.
2 a.m.
You like wake up to Dragon Force at like 1 in the morning.
oh
It's
yeah,
not a good
I
time.
could
It's not a
totally
good
see where that
time.
would piss people off. Yeah.
But
Almost true.
there you go. Yeah, I like to play like hip hop whenever I'm driving, like Action Bronson or like Freddie Gibbs, something like that.
I like it. I like where your head's at too. That's perfect. Yeah.
It's my turn. So, like everybody said, I have a wide taste in music.
Yeah,
I'll
Mr. Dragon
play-
Force. Jeez. And it's gonna be like at the best time too, like at 4 in the morning.
Exactly, 4 in the morning, and I'm gonna be playing Ingested, or I'll be playing, Decapitated or something.
Very cool.
But no, I listen to anything from like EDM, dubstep to metalcore, like Linkin Park, new metal, stuff like that, to deathcore, death metal, and then I also try to branch out into like other areas of music from like other parts of the world too. Like I've been really into a lot of like Japanese like deathcore, Japanese metalcore, like Pale Dusk for one. Is one of my favorite bands right now.
Very cool.
But yeah, huge variety. And then we have a pop star right here.
All right.
Oh, I'm with it. Let's
Every
hear it.
time John has the aux cable, no. It'll be like he'll be driving, and then I'll be like, didn't we just listen to these last 30 songs yesterday? And it's just the same songs and repetitive in your head. It never ends.
Give me one. Give me one
He's
of
like,
them.
I have 1,000 songs. I'm like, okay. One song I always hear play is My Heartbeat by Childish Gambino. I hear that song so many songs. I know.
Get ready. Get ready.
And Kid Cudi, you hear that? I do like Kid Cudi, but you'll hear like the same 2 Kid Cudi songs, like nothing else.
There's some
Mr.
variety
Rager.
here. I like where this is going. We went from Ingested to Kid Cudi.
Oh,
in
it's
less than
okay.
a
So
minute.
what
Yeah.
I play, I don't have guilty pleasures, but I will play. I love Billie Eilish. I love Olivia Rodrigo, and then I'll throw back the like Miranda Cosgrove. You got some Lindsay Lohan going by. You got
Dang.
Ashley Simpson.
Like the She's
Like
All
we
That
just
era
early
of pop.
early
Okay, I'm with
2000s,
it.
and then all of a sudden, we're in the 80s. I'm listening to some Steely Dan sometimes, maybe, or Duran Duran, Tears for
It
Fears.
went from like
So
MySpace era pop to
Oh,
like
it
very
goes
Coke
for
worthy
me,
like 80s.
It
That's
goes
crazy.
it goes everywhere, but I do not play metal usually in the van. I just unless it's Slipknot, I'm like
Unless it's Slipknot. See? Unless it's Slipknot.
You hear metal all day, and
For
I'm
sure.
like, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm done.
And that's kind of what I'm hearing, like consistently. Like, okay, like, yeah. Except for Dragon Force. That's
Dragon
it,
Force,
Yeah.
Ingested. Blast beats are happening, and I'm like trying to sleep, and I'm like,
Oh, you'll see. You'll see. Yes, agreed.
Um,
Let's hear what are number 2 and 3 of these songs that we only hear 3 of.
I don't really know the names because like it's some weird shit. It's like definitely half the time that's like there's no lyrics, but yeah, like she said, you wake up like early in the morning
Cool ambient shit then.
and you're like, what is happening?
Let's go.
A lot of ambient music too.
But in my defense, I only really listen to like metal and like a couple hip hop artists, so I'm pretty.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right.
It's,
Only Ramirez.
I love Ramirez. Yeah. That's the move in the van. But I don't want to influence your answer, Mike, but I do kind of want you to explain the Kesha game. Because that's okay.
So when
We save the best for last if there's a Kesha game. All right. Yes. All right.
I
will blast Kesha nonstop while I drive.
Kesha was the shit.
I love Kesha. She is the fucking best. She's fucking wild. I love her.
Yeah, Kesha's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're not the only like aggressive metal dude that likes Kesha. Like I've seen Kesha live. Multiple like, hey, are you a fan? You kind of like, it's like a really weird fraternity, but everyone's like,
Oh, for sure.
and they're all there for Kesha.
Exactly.
Okay, so
But yeah, usually I'll keep it like Kesha. Like I like a lot of like mid 2000s like pop music, like Kesha. I love Katy Perry. But then like my favorite band is Paramore, so I play a lot of that. And then
such a tight band.
yeah, Citizen. The most metal I try to play is like Bring Me the Horizon, like the new stuff. Like I
Guys
like
are-
that a lot.
You guys are very, you guys have a very keen ear, based on everything I'm hearing here.
But
Makes sense.
Why it makes sense.
For sure.
I definitely drive the least, so we don't listen to mine very often because I'm usually sleeping.
You got the headphones. You're in the back.
Oh, I don't even need them. I sleep like a rock, dude.
Oh, so you're the guy on the tour that can sleep. Okay. All right. Well, there's got to be one.
There's always gotta be one.
You mentioned a little bit about a potential new something in the works.
I don't know.
Can you little tease?
Well, let's just say we are writing more than one something
Got
at
it.
the same time. And it is not a single. And there's a lot. That's all I'm going to say.
That'll work.
We write a lot of music. And we have a lot on the horizon. That's all.
Given
I
how
gotta
active
say.
you guys are, I'll take that. That'll work. That'll work. Be sure to catch Victims out on tour. Make sure to follow them online. Do your diligence. Listen to Kesha. Knotfest.com.